What is happening, legend? Thank you so much for stopping by to click on this video. It's Angus here, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the 5 biggest fat loss myths of 2019. Now, if you've been alive in this planet, on this big ball of green land with all sorts of sky and ocean, place we call Earth, right? If you've been on Earth for any decent length of time, you will more than likely have noticed that with every year that passes, there is all sorts of different shit that trends, all sorts of different diets, all sorts of different products, all sorts of different shit in all sorts of different industries. So specifically to the health and wellness / dieting / fat loss / muscle building space, there is just consistent trends, consistent shit that comes in, comes out, comes and goes, because, well, the thing is that there's a lot of money to be made in this space. And if a company can target effectively to a consumer in terms of marketing towards what they want to see, well, this is why we see in the day and age, in terms of the space that we're in, all sorts of companies making shit tons of money from basically selling shit to people that they don't really need. So I'm going to be talking to you in this video the 5 biggest myths in terms of what's trending at the moment at this stage in the game in 2019. So hopefully you get some mad value from this and some epic knowledge and insight from me. And I'd highly encourage you to, if you have any questions as I go through each of these 5, just drop a comment in the comments below. And if you're struggling with any of this stuff and you want to know it further in terms of some insight and stuff like that, feel free to check out my personal links in the description of this video, or follow me on social media for some more love and insight in terms of knowledge bombs and just me living and breathing this stuff that you're going to hear me touch on. So bring in the content, let's get stuck into it. So the first one, we have intermittent fasting, aka the 16-8 scenario, or what we call OMAD, or basically the 72-hour fast. So these are trending like a motherfucker, I'll tell you that. And why people are getting onto this is because they think that it is entirely necessary to be able to lose fat. That you basically, to be able to give your body a reason to lose fat, that you need to go without food for a decent length of time, as opposed to eating food spaced throughout the day evenly. Now, I'd hate to burst your fasting bubble, but understand that you do not need to incorporate any of these methods to be able to effectively lose fat, right? Because obviously, yes, there is some decent sort of like beneficial properties and healing properties and this sort of stuff that come from doing fasting and come from going without food for a period of time. But understand that it's like whenever you're considering doing something, whether it be fasting or fucking anything, right? You need to be asking yourself, well, if I'm taking this on board, can I see myself applying this shit for months and years to come? Because obviously, if you're going to be smashing, fasting-based principles for a few weeks or even a couple of months or whatever, right? Obviously, well, you will get some results from doing it. And as soon as you try and revert back to whatever you were doing before, well, guess what's going to happen? Your results aren't going to magically stick around, right? So, more of the story here is that if you actually find that you do well and that you enjoy not eating for a decent hunk of the day and pushing back your first meal until the afternoon / later in the night, and maybe eating your calories in one meal, if you find that you feel awesome doing that, well then fuck yeah, fucking awesome. Like, go ahead and keep doing it. But understand that if you don't feel good doing this, and it is a massive struggle for you, and you can't handle going for a decent length of time hungry, right? Well then, fuck off the idea of fasting. Don't do it. Like, just focus instead on the calories and macronutrients that you need to be able to put your body into a calorie deficit, and then just apply, like your own sort of level of rigidity or your own sort of flexibility that you can handle as you go about meeting those targets. Because at the end of the day, the best diet for you is exactly that, the best diet for you in terms of what caters for your lifestyle demands, your food preferences, and what has you enjoying everything that you're eating. So there's nothing magical about fasting. If you're keen to get some more insight into that, check out the upload section of my channel and you will see there's an in-depth video about it in terms of me breaking down the science behind it. Otherwise, let's get on to the second myth. So the second one is that you must be in a state of ketosis to be able to lose body fat. Now, understand that yes, the whole ketogenic diet is trending at the moment more than ever, but what a lot of you probably won't be familiar with is the fact that it's been around since around the 1920s, so well before I've even been around. Like, I was born in 1990, right? So what you need to kind of understand is that, like, why it was invented was a means to be able to help people that were struggling with epilepsy and similar sort of disorders to be able to kind of handle the sort of shit that goes on with having a disorder like that, and to be able to maintain optimal health, right? Whereas you fast forward to now, and it's promoted as one of the best ways to be able to lose fat and to be able to achieve optimal hormonal function. And yeah, well, obviously you see all the shit that we see online about ketosis and about the ketogenic diet, right? Like, I see it too. But what you need to understand is that, like, essentially why it works ultimately is that it puts you into a calorie deficit, right? And then obviously based on the level of, well, yeah, how intense the ketogenic sort of principles are that you're applying. Like, some are, say, for example, moderate protein, moderate fat, low carbs. Some are very high protein, very low carbs / almost none, and moderate fat. So it's like there's different ratios in terms of the macronutrient split. But at the end of the day, why it works is because it puts you in ketosis. Why it works is because it puts you into a calorie deficit. So in other words, if you're someone who loves carbs and is a fairly active individual and is trying to lose body fat, well, then don't unnecessarily rob yourself of the pleasures that come from eating carbs. If I were you, just basically, well, there's a few things you can do. And obviously if you have a coach, for example, it takes away this guesswork and you can get educated around flexible dieting principles and calories and energy and thermodynamics properly. But if that's not something that you can actually accommodate or afford, well, I'd suggest just checking out some of my content. Check out my upload section. You can learn a lot of this shit for free. And I've got resources for days in terms of in one of the links in the description of the video. You can check out that. But ultimately, just be aware that when it comes to losing fat, it's like it doesn't technically matter too much your ratios of protein to fat to carbs or anything like that. What does matter is the consistency and overall calorie consumption, consistency with protein, consistency with plants, so getting in enough fiber, and then nailing your biomarkers, so things like getting in enough sleep, managing your stress, stretching, drinking enough water. These sort of basic things which are often kind of like a bit of a lost art for the average person. So a lot of people I find get into the ketogenic diet for the sake of quick results, but what you gotta understand is that, well, the only way that you can continue getting results from doing it is obviously if you continue to adapt the principles. And for a lot of people, that's fucking soul destroying, and it will basically, well, yeah, like rob you of joy in your life, and therefore ultimately will not be something you can stick to ongoing. So therefore it's like, well, yeah, like unless you're ridiculously overweight and do no activity whatsoever, I'd probably suggest not doing ketogenic based principles, but instead adapt a more flexible, sustainable approach like you heard me just mentioned before. On to number 3. So number 3 is a big one, boys and girls, and this one is the starvation mode principle, right? So if you look it up on Google, it's basically, well, it's got various definitions and stuff like that in terms of like, well, based on whatever the source is sharing about it. But I can honestly tell you that it is something that doesn't really exist, because what you've got to realize, right, is that you've got something that is basically on your side consistently. It's going to keep you alive and going strong, and that is your metabolism, right? So understand that it's like when a lot of people think of the term starvation mode, right, it's usually in 2 categories. Category 1 being someone who is under eating in calories massively and therefore starvation mode, and scenario 2 being someone who thinks they're in starvation mode because there's been too much of a gap of time between one meal and the next meal and the next meal and the next meal, and therefore, well, because it's now 3 hours since they had their last meal as opposed to 2 hours, like because you need to eat every 2 hours to keep their metabolism strong, they think they're in starvation mode and they're going to lose their muscle and they're going to lose their gains and they're freaking out, and it's like, oh fuck, like there's usually those sort of two scenarios in terms of what it comes down to with people thinking that starvation mode is happening. But what you need to understand is that, like, your body is smart, right? So it is consistently adapting to and kind of paying attention to your lifestyle choices, right? So if it's noticing that you typically undereat most of the time, well then rather than continue to burn the same amount of calories that you do at the moment and therefore putting it into a deficit overall, aka where you're taking in less calories than you're burning, what your body actually does as a means to not have to continue to let go of fat is it starts to down-regulate some of your hormones and your metabolism and stuff like that lower, so that you burn less energy to the point where it's like now, even though you're eating very minimal or whatever it may be, right, because you now burn next to nothing. This is why a lot of people will then get stuck into an unplanned, not desired maintenance, because obviously what then happens is that if you continue to down eat and under eat, your body down regulates in accordance to it, and therefore next minute, welcome to the the common scenario that happens with so many conventional dieters, right? So this is why, like, yeah, and that's just going to continue to happen for as long as you go along. And then what's going to happen is your body's going to fuck around even more with some of your hormones to improve your appetite. Well, not improve, but ramp it up, because it's basically going to want you to stop eating so little in calories and get you to fucking YOLO and just eat a heap of food so it can store some fat and basically get things happening at normal again. Right? So this is why when it comes to actually how someone should approach to get lean, the last thing that you should be doing is just going, yeah, 1200 calories, bro, or, you know, fucking all this other shit we see trending online, right? What you should be doing is, ideal scenario, eating no less than BMR calories. So in other words, your body weight in pounds times by 10, that's going to roughly be your BMR, right? So if you're not even eating that amount of calories, if I were you, start there and gradually start increasing up to the point of your maintenance intake. Sit there for a little while before you start reducing to focus on fat loss. Because otherwise what happens is that if you spend too much time under eating and basically restricting your body of required nutrients and macronutrients and calories, right, you're just going to literally bend your body over and you're fucking shafting it from behind, right? Seriously. Because when people are doing this for far too long, what it's going to do is it's going to basically clue your body in so much of the fact that this is happening, so that when and if you're trying to lose fat into the future, unless you do what I just said, it's going to become almost impossible for you to have any chance of losing fat. And seriously, I've had people that I've been working with in the past, even currently, where like they've been doing that sort of shit in terms of under eating and then having little YOLO periods and YOLO and like massive dieting attempts again, and then YOLOing, rinse and repeat for like 10 to 20 years, right? And then they're like, oh, Angus, like, you know, if we're working together, like, can we try and get this happening quickly? I'm just like, mate, like, you've been doing this for a long time, right? You've been putting your body through a lot of deprivation. So the only way to keep you moving forward is to basically, well, focus on restoration for a period of time. So in other words, like, if you've been doing basically conventional dieting on and off for years and years and years, right, you should have a period of time of at least 3 to 6 months focusing on getting out of a deficit, getting your body used to functioning on how much calories it should have. So that way you can actually start getting healthy, right? And then start getting back into a deficit again. So in other words, basically, well, starvation mode. It is a myth, but fuck starvation mode, right? Now let's go on to the fourth one.
Though I know that there is nothing to find, you're a beautiful sight.
So the fourth one is bulletproof coffee. Now this is something which I still can't believe is trending, but hey, it's trending, right? So the concept behind it in terms of why it's trending is that if you add some coconut oil or MCT oil or specific bulletproof shit to your black coffee, by naturally adding in this nutrient-dense fat source, it's going to help you to burn body fat, it's going to help you to stabilize you know, hormones better, and suppress appetite, etc. And just like, yeah, those sort of claims are fucked. Like, just from any sort of point of view you look at it, like drinking coffee with a fat source cannot do that to you. So if I were you, pay attention to obviously the things that I've said previously, because you eating in a calorie deficit is the number one governing thing. It's going to control your aesthetics and whether you will lose fat or not. And then obviously what will control how you feel is the quality of your food choices. So in other words, let's say that your intake is 1800 calories, right? So a smart way to go about this would be, say for example, allocating 1200 maybe or so to nutrient dense food, maybe even up to 1400, depending on how really sort of hashtag clean you want to go, right? And the remaining calories, isolate just for whatever the fuck you want, because life is about flexibility and balance, meaning that if you like donuts and chocolate and whatever, right, hey, there's no reason why you can't be having some every single day while devoting those 1200 calories or so to nutrient dense stuff, so that you're getting in sufficient protein, sufficient plants and stuff like that. And obviously there's things like the dietary guidelines nationally in whatever country you're from that will give you a breakdown of this, so refer to them if you ever get stuck. But it's just like, why people get into things like bulletproof coffee and stuff like that is just beyond me. Like, if you like coffee and you don't like spending calories on liquids and whatever, just have black coffee with a few drops of stevia, right? And that's what I do. I use it as a pre-workout, right? It's great. Awesome caffeine, awesome thermogenic to an extent, or diuretic, and it's just great. But yeah, bulletproof coffee, nope, nothing magical about it. Please don't dump money into it and follow along with the concept like it is just a complete myth, seriously. And usually it goes hand in hand with people that do CrossFit and paleo and stuff like that. I typically find a lot of people get on the bulletproof wagon that way. And usually what I find as well is that whenever I talk about it on social media, I get slammed with a heap of hate. But do I care? Nope, because I'm dropping science, bro. None of this is opinion, it's just science and evidence-based knowledge bombs. So now we have myth number 5, boys and girls, the last one in this series. And this one here is basically one that encompasses the things like the shake weight, the crazy wrap thing, as it's called, and things like waist trainers, right? Because products like this still trend, and why they still trend is because through clever marketing, they're obviously highlighted to sound like they're a fucking awesome product that if you get amongst, it's going to make your goals of getting lean easy, aka with minimal effort, and you can still continue your current lifestyle habits, and therefore hashtag get lean bro, hashtag tone, hashtag do you even lift, right? So I hate to burst your bubble that if you buy this shit, understand it's not going to really change anything at all. Same as the people that get into things like stomach surgery and, you know, get on fucking Duromine and stuff like that to suppress their appetite. Like, all this sort of shit does is just band-aid the underlying problem. So if you have a shit relationship with food and you don't move very often and you're just all over the shop with consistency, well then getting amongst these things is going to in no way, shape or form improve whatever it is that you're doing, right? So it's like the underlying concerns and problems that you actually have going on are the ones that need to be well worked on, right? In terms of like, well, yeah, those scenarios in terms of someone under eating, someone, you know, going through phases of restrictive dieting and then YOLOing and restrictive dieting, YOLOing harder, and like, you know, being all over the shop with training. Like, these are the sort of things that are holding people back from really achieving their potential and just unnecessarily boxing themselves in or digging themselves into a hole that can be quite hard to get out of, right? So like, my hand even goes up that I bought a few of these products before in my earlier set of days, because obviously, well, yeah, you're in a state of fuck, like I want to change myself, like I want to lose fat. This sounds pretty cool, like they've said it does this, this and this, and there's a few other people that have said it's pretty sick, like I'll jump on it too. Like, you see what I'm saying? So it's like, don't feel bad for getting amongst those things, but they're trending for a reason. They're trending because they're marketed very well towards people who don't know what they're doing, and therefore obviously sales for days, and that's what keeps these companies going, right? So shake weights, yeah, fuck, like it's just dumb even just talking about it, right? Like I feel numb and I feel like kind of like fucking Morty for talking about it, right? The crazy wrap thing, like you've probably seen that. If you haven't seen it, do a Google. Like, it's just so dumb. Like, oh, fuck me, right? And then waist trainers, like obviously there's things that are even similar to that as well, like the abs belts and stuff like that, that basically if you wear it throughout the day, it's going to stimulate and, you know, burn calories and whatever in terms of your midsection, right? Like, literally, these sort of things, seriously, like, question everything, and especially those sort of myths that I've just covered. Like, if you're struggling with any of those things, please do me a favor and get in touch. Click on one of my links in the description and get in touch, and I'll see if and how I can help you. Or even worst case scenario, you can get amongst some shit for me for free. It's going to help keep you straight, because I just hate seeing people fall for myths like this and the dumb fuck trending stuff in the health and fitness industry. Each of these things that we've just covered, you can see, even as I speak about it logically, how dumb they are, how silly it is that people fall for them. But obviously, if someone's not educated and they don't know what they're doing per se, right? Well, welcome to why a lot of people just do dumb things, and why 2 out of 3 adults are overweight, and why 1 out of 3 children are overweight as well, right? So do me a favor, if you found this video valuable, drop it a like, or even better, share it with someone, because that way YouTube actually, like the YouTube gods, will pick up on that it's an awesome video and show it to more people, which is obviously why I make these videos, so heaps of people can see them. And if you're new to the channel, hey, stick around, or even better, subscribe. Heaps of videos to check out, lots of content-based ones, eating-based ones, all sorts, so you're going to get some value, whatever it is that you're into. And once again, big love. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out this video. Hopefully it's been awesome for you. If you're keen to check out some more of me in action on the day-to-day, follow me on my social media links below. Obviously Instagram, Facebook. I don't use Snapchat because Instagram and Facebook are my jam in terms of pumping out daily content there. And yeah, I'll see you next time in the YouTube world. Remember, fuck restriction, embrace moderation rather than deprivation. Peace out.